A very good day, dear students. As you all know me, your faculty for robotics. I will now continue with our next sessions, which are going to be even more interesting. Why? Because finally we are going to move on to our project sessions. Okay, but prior to that, there are some long sessions remaining regarding the coding and knowledge and programming syntaxes. Right. So we'll be covering those in our next few sessions, and then finally we'll be moving on to our project session. Okay, we'll be minor and major projects. And now let me tell you something that whenever we talk about projects, right? So the projects with Arduino must be such that it becomes an innovation from your side. What am I saying? Basically, for example, I said it previously also. If I take one sensor, if I take the other sensor, if I build one robot using this sensor, and if I build the second robot using this sensor, that doesn't mean that these are ideas are exhaustive of those sensors of those robots. You can combine both the sensors. You can combine it in various ways. That's how Arduino helps you, right? Okay, and that's how you can build hundreds or not thousands amount of robots, right? Why I'm saying those? Because it's your innovation, how you're going to code the sensors with Arduino, how you're going to pair the sensors with Arduino, and how you're going to use those sensors to make different kinds of robots, right? So that's the thing. Let us move on, okay, with the session. Let us finish the coding parts first, and then let us move on to the advanced levels and the product. So let us begin our session 21 or chapter 21 or lesson 21, whatever you might say. Let us begin it. Net. Now, one of the most interesting session, I would say, and one of the most interesting part of Arduino programming is what we call the if-else statement, right? Now, people from engineering background or people mostly from the programming background, you must be knowing the importance of if statement or else statement, right? One of the most important parts. Don't you think so? Right? Now, why I'm saying it's most important part because it is literally one of the most helpful part that helps me while I code, right? So that is what I want you to like use it extensively while you are coding. Now, what do we mean by Arduino if statement? You see, if when how do we use it in our English language? Try to understand that first. Okay, we use the if statement as a condition, right? So whenever we are applying some conditions, like if this is happening, then this will happen. If you read, if you study in a very mindful situation, your results will be good. You'll get a good results, right? So if else statements, they are condition first of all. So whenever uh, I am building a robot, for example, I'm building a line follower robot, right? Now, while I build a line follower robot, I have to give it a condition. Whenever this colored line is being appearing in its sensor, it is sensing, for example, a black color line. So whenever it is sensing a black color line, it will follow. So if this happens, then this will be the result. Understood? So that's what condition I mean by condition, right? That's what I mean by condition, giving a condition to a robot. Let us go further. See, let us read it out. The if statement is the conditional statement. See, that's what I was saying. We are giving it a condition, which is the basis for all types of programming language. Why? Because every language we need to give some condition whenever we are programming, whenever we are coding, whenever we are writing any algorithm. We have to trust me. We have to give some or the other type of condition. Whenever I will be going on with the sessions of many projects or major projects, okay, minor or major projects. you would be seeing most of the projects, they will have at least one if else statement. That is why I said that it is one of the most interesting and one of the most fun things to do, actually. So if the condition in the code is true, the corresponding task or function is performed. As I said, that whenever you are trying to give a condition, for example, again I'll give you an example. Whenever a particular value is reached, the LED will blink, right? So in that statement, how will I command the processor? How will I command the computer to function like that? In this kind of cases, in these cases, if else statement is required. That means if, for example, if I'm using a temperature sensor, and if you don't know what a temperature sensor is, just go by the name temperature sensor, that it sense temperature, right? So if I want, for example, I have built a sprinkler system. I will tell you how to build, okay, in our future projects. So if I build a sprinkler system, so I have fitted like I have put a temperature sensor over there, and now I'm giving the condition. What do I want? What is my intent for this project? Basically, is if the temperature reaches 30 degrees Celsius, then the sprinkler will switch on. I have put some of the switches, okay, then it will switch on. That means water will be sprinkled or water will be sprayed, right? So now what am I doing is I am putting a if condition over there. How? I will show you obviously in the examples, don't worry. So what I have done is I have put a if condition. That means if temperature is more than or equal to or more than greater than 30 degrees Celsius, the switch is on. So some digital light pin will be high in which the switch will be connected, right? Understood? This is how the if statement works. So only if the condition is true, it will function. If further returns another value if the condition is false. Okay. So if it is true, something will happen. If it is not true, we can use it in the negative sense also, the negative value also, that if it is not true, then also this can happen, right? Now it means that if statement checks for the condition and then executes a statement or a set of statements. That is what I have been saying. Understood? That is the main purpose. So it will check for a condition. If the condition has taken place, if the condition is like that, then it will execute a particular statement, a particular command basically. It will execute that command. Next. See, this is a very important flow chart. You might be noting it down. Okay, take a screenshot over here. This is important for your conceptual clearness actually. You see, we give a condition, right? We give a condition that if this is like this, if the temperature is equal to or greater than 30 degrees Celsius, if the color is the LED sensor senses some particular amount of brightness like this, okay, if there is a clap happening, like in clap sensors, in LDR sensors, in light sensors, right, fire detectors, fire sensors, anything, ultrasonic sensors, distance is given. So if this condition is given, there can be two outputs. One outcome is if it is true, another outcome is if it is false. So if it is true, the conditional statement take place. If it is false, it bypasses the conditional statement and gives output as false, or it don't gives any output. Depends on how you code. Okay. I hope you have understood. So this is a very simplified version of the working of the if else statement. Okay, on if statement. Let us move. Now it clearly explains the process of execution of a statement, right? If the condition is false, it comes out of the if statement. If the condition is true, the function is performed. See. So if the condition is false, it comes out. Can you see it is bypassing this conditional statement? This is the condition given with the if statement, and this is the conditional statement given. That means if it is true, this will take place. If it is false, it will bypass this condition. It basically comes out of this if condition of this bracket basically and doesn't give this value. The operation doesn't take place. Understood? See, very simplified form of a if condition. This is how it has been given. If in the parenthesis or the first bracket, the condition is given. That means if I want to say the first example, my first example, that if the temperature is greater than 30 degrees Celsius, right? So if the temperature is greater than 30 degrees Celsius, something would happen. So this is where the condition is given. Okay. It includes the statement inside the bracket. It includes the statements. It includes the if condition is true, and then it performs the function or task specified inside the curly braces. This is the task specified inside the curly braces. This task would be performed. Now here, the condition equal to, it includes the Boolean expressions that can be true or false, right? We can also use one or the more operators inside the parenthesis. Okay. So inside the parenthesis, what we can use, I will show you the example. So for example, I can say, if I have taken a integer value, for example, int a. So if I say that if a equal to 10, then something would happen, right? Then something statement is given. So if in case of equal to, I can also give something else like if this is not equal to, a is not equal to 2, not equal to is an operator, right? And it is equal to 3. So we are using 2 to 3 operators over here, right? Mathematical and conditional operators. I hope you remember when I taught you operators, right, in the previous sessions, the previous classes only. So inside these parentheses, inside these first brackets, we can use numerous conditions, more than one conditions. Okay. See this. The comparison operators that can be used at a condition as a condition inside the parentheses are listed below. That's what I was saying. So when we want to compare, how you can compare? Either we can say it is equal to, or it is greater than, or it is less than, or it is less than equal to, or it is greater than equal to, or it is not equal to, something like that. Right? Each one of them have symbols mentioned that I have mentioned over here. If a and b are two variables which are being used in the code in various manners. So first one is a exclamation equal to b. So this sign, exclamation equal to sign, is basically equal to not equal. That means if, for example, if I build a drone, try to understand. Okay, I'm giving you a very interesting example. So this is not equal to. Okay, then comes a less than b. We know this operator already from our childhood. We are using it. Then comes a greater than b. Okay. Then comes a equal to. That means this is the where we give the value of a to b, right? Okay, we are not representing just to be equal. We are giving the value of we're allocating the value of a into b. Then comes a less than equal to b or a greater than equal to b, wherein we are the variables. These are some of the common operators that we use for comparison purposes. Okay. Now, the most important part for this chapter, the examples. Why they are the most important parts, we'll get to know, because if else operator is very interesting to use if you know how to use them. Okay. If you know how to use them properly, they are very interesting to use. All right. So let us see the first example over here. First, we have declared int a equal to 6 and int b equal to 4. We have taken two integers, right? Now we are initializing it, right? A and b. Now we'll perform some of the operations on A and B, of course. Now serial begin is given as 9600, the standard number, the standard rate, baud rate. So inside void loop, what we have done, If, see, how we are given the conditions. If A greater than B, right? Then we have to print A is greater than B. Okay. Again, after we have closed, see it very carefully. The parenthesis has been closed for this if condition. Again, we are providing if B is greater than A, serial.println, B is greater than A, right? Whatever is the result, you print it like this. This is how we use the if condition. Clear, everybody? I hope it is clear. This is how we use the if operator. What will be the output? A is greater than B. How? Because A is 6, B is 4. Of course, A will be greater than B. Now, this code, what it basically shows is that the initialization of values to the two variables A and B. Then in this example, the first condition is true, and the corresponding information is printed. We already know that A is greater than B. That's why this condition is this statement is printed. Okay. This is how it works basically. Second example. Okay. A little bit bigger example, but this one is important for you all. It includes LED. Students, if you cannot see what is written over here, I'll tell you, don't worry. But I think it is visible to you because they are LED, right? So, jokes apart. Constant int. So we are declaring the constant value. So it remains so that it remains constant throughout the programming, throughout the code. Okay. I've told you about constant function. So constant int LED1 equal to 2. Constant int LED2 equal to 30, the built-in LED. Okay. Int x has been declared as 80. Fine. Now we are setting it up. Void setup. Serial begin again. Pin mode LED1 is output. Pin mode LED2 is also output. Okay. We have declared the positions. We have declared how it will act. The actions. Now void loop, inside void loop. If, again we are using a condition. What condition we are using, dear students? If the value of x is greater than 100, then what will happen? Digital write LED1 high. What is LED1? What is LED1? 2, right? So if x will be greater than 100, so LED1 will be high. Delay for 500, that means half a second. Then again second. If x is less than 100, digital write LED2 high. The LED1 was pin number 2, LED2 was pin number 13. So you see, what is x? X is 80. So definitely the first condition is not okay, but the second condition is right. So if second condition is right, that is if x less than 100, that is what is being fulfilled. So what will happen? This result will take place. Digital write LED2 high. That means the inbuilt LED, that is the LED 13, will be glowing. Understood? That is all the concept of if statements. Okay. See how simple it can be. What programmers did, they designed them to be very easy to understand and useful. That's why they have used such a simple thing if, because in our daily life, we use it a lot. If you attend all the robotics classes, you will be master in robotics. So I am again using the if statement over there, right? Now you must be wondering that, sir, if we have an if statement, there must be a statement which is contrary to this. That means if we again and again write if this happens, if this happens, if this happens, it becomes monotonous and there must be something else, right? We'll see that later. You see, in the example, what we have done, we have initialized the value of x. Where? Here. We've initialized x equal to 80. Then, since the value of x is less than 100, the second condition is true. Hence, LED2 will light up. Okay. If the value of x is greater than 100, LED1 will light. That's what the conditions are. Hope it is clear to you, right? It is very simple as our English language on. Now, Arduino if else and else if statements. Now, these are even more important. Why? I was saying you some time ago That again and again giving if statement becomes monotonous, right? The else and else if both are used after specifying the if statement. It allows multiple conditions to be grouped. Try to understand very clearly. Imagine I have told you that write a programming in Arduino where uh, a robotic hand will move, will grab a glass or pick up something. Okay, only when the distance between the hand and the object is less than imagine is less than 10 centimeter, but it should always also be more than 2 centimeter. What am I doing? I am giving you two conditions here, right? That you can only pick up the object if the distance between the object and the robotic arm is less than 10 centimeter, and also it is more than 2 centimeter. So you can write it down. You can write it down that, see, if the first condition was not, sorry, if the second condition was not there, what you could have done? You could have used the else statement, if else statement. How? You could have written in the algorithm, in the programming, the condition if distance, we have taken distance as d, small d. So if d less than 10 centimeter, pick up. Okay. So any digital write, any output pin to be high so that it may grab the object. Now, and you can also write else don't pick up, right? That means digital write, that output pin will stay in the low configuration, that is off configuration. Fine. What I've done, if else statement. That means if this is happening, I want this, or else this can happen. Like this we can give. But now, if in the example, if you consider two nodes to be taken, what are they? Number one, if the distance is less than 10 centimeter. Number two, if the distance is more than 2 centimeter. Correct? Okay. What you can do? So we can write it if the distance d less than 10 centimeter, then grab. Else if distance more than 2 centimeter, then also grab. Okay. Else don't grab. What am I trying to say? When I have multiple arguments, multiple conditions, then this else if comes handy. Okay. See what is happening over here. The condition is given. Okay. It can be true, it can be false. If it is true, it enters the statements inside the brackets. Okay. But if it is false, it bypasses the statement and comes out of the if clause. Okay. Now, if this was for if. Now, if we have else if, what will happen? It will bypass the first statement, but again there is a second statement given. It will enter this second statement and it will put the output. Understood? Okay. So if this is true, fine, we are getting output. Else if, we are getting the second. See, I have broken down the code, okay, into 2 or 3 slides. Let us see. If we are giving conditions, statements, else we have given only statements. That means they are opposite to each other, right? Contrary, what we say. So if I work like this, else I will be working like that. Simple English statements. Okay. See, the else statement can also include other if statements. Due to this, we can run multiple statements in a single program. So that is what we are doing basically. We are using extensively the if else statement. See, if we start, condition 1 is given if this is happening. If it is true, this statement will be executed. If it is false, second condition, it enters the second condition. Again, if it is true, enters the second statement. And if it's false, enters the third statement. Right? So this is the multiple statements. This true is for the if and false is for the else. So whenever the else is working, else is an I, So this false statement will move towards this direction. Okay. I hope it is clear to you. The statements will be executed one by one until the true statement is found. When the true statement is found, it will skip all other if and else statements if the code and runs the associated blocks of code. What does that mean? That means until and unless it gives something true, it will keep on trying the else statements. Right? I hope you have understood this. Very interesting and very, very engaging, very useful actually. See this example now. Now, if you consider this code, we have taken two integers a and b, so 5 and 6. In void setup, we have declared the void rate again, 9600, the standard rate. Inside the loop, what condition we have given? If a greater than b, simple condition. If a greater than b, print a is greater. Else, print a is smaller. That means only this condition I need to describe it like this. Other than this, anything happens, print a is smaller. Now, in this case, there can be two cases only, a is greater or a is smaller, okay, or a is equal to something. Now, what will be the problem? See, in this statement, it is given if a is greater than b, you can print a is greater. Else, you can print a is smaller. What if a is equal to 5 and also b is equal to 5? Then a is not greater than b. So this statement will not be printed. But other than this statement, I have asked the computer to print a is smaller. So in that case also, it will print a is smaller. So that's an error. I hope you have got what I'm saying. I'll repeat it, okay? Try to understand. What does this if-else statement gives us? If-else statement gives us that if one condition is true, fine, that is true. But other than this condition, all the other conditions are false, right? So if a is equal to 5 and b is equal to also 5, consider that b is equal to also 5. Now we know, because we know maths, we know that both are equal, a and a equal to b. But is that the condition I have given the controller to check? No. What is the condition I have given it to check? I have asked the controller to check if a is greater than b. If a is greater than b, then print a is greater. Fine, very good. Else, print a is smaller. That means other than this condition, when a is greater than b, other than this, for all conditions, print a is smaller, right? So even if a is equal to b, we have taken over here the values, still it would print a is smaller. Why? Because other than this condition, we have written else, print a is smaller. In this case, what which we should have done? In this case, we should have use the else if statement or if else statement. That if a is greater than b, print a is greater. Else if a is smaller than b, print a is smaller. Else, print a equal to b, like that. But you can reverse it. Understood? So we would have got three conditions. Once where a is greater, once where a is equal to, and the other where a is smaller. Okay. I hope you have understood this. Next. Again, constant int, LED1 equal to 4, declared. X equal to 150, already declared. Inside voice setup, the baud rate is given. Pin mode, LED1 is output. I have declared LED1 to be output. And LED1's pin value is also given over here. That is 4, pin number 4. Now, while loop, if x greater than 100. digital light, LED 1 high. What we need to print, LED 1 will light. Okay. Delay 500. Else print LED 1 will not light. Very simple code. Only if else statement is given. Okay. Hope you have understood this code over here. Else if, my favorite, and very useful. Okay, very helpful. The else if statement can be used with or without the else statement. If we can include multiple else if statements in a program, of course, that's what it purposes. So if condition is given, then the statements, else if, again a condition is given, as I said, else like this. Okay. In case of else if, you can also omit, you can also not use the else statement, because else if itself means that there is one condition that is not mentioned in if condition. It will follow it. Other than that, everything will be else. That's right. Else if is given. Okay. See this code. Int I equal to 2, j equal to 3. Why setup? Serial begin 9600. Void loop. If I greater than j, print I is greater. Else if I less than j, print j is greater. Else print both are equal. See, this is exactly what I was saying in the previous code. For I is greater, there is one condition. For j is greater, there should be a condition. It's there. And finally, if both are equal, then there should be a condition. That is also there. We can shuffle between these two. Okay. We can write else if j less than I. So, sorry, I less than j. So I is lesser or j is greater. Okay. Now, if I equal to, else if I equal to j, then we can print both are equal. Else j is greater. We can shuffle them. Okay. Now this needs to be known to all of you. You can note it down. The difference between else and else if. The else part is executed if one or all the if conditions present in the code comes out to be false. Else if will stop the program flow in it if it becomes true. That means it is a separate condition that has been given. Okay. And else is a generalized condition. That means if in the if statement it comes out to be false, every other possibilities will comes out to be whatever mentioned over there. Okay. I hope you have understood. I hope you have enjoyed the session. This was a very important yet engaging session. We shall meet again in the next class.